Hi everyone. আমরা just একটু wait করব for our viewers to catch up. Maybe we're just going to wait for 5 minutes.
A long
Kanabhai, you want to? Okay, 2 minutes.
but for a 5 minutes, like we'll just
stare at each other. Why not?
Not bad.
Let's do a staring competition. Whoever blinks last wins.
I just remembered that I forgot my tea, coffee, whatever. আপনাদেরকে দেখে.
Yeah, same. I just realized.
Oh no, too late এখন.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah, we are live kintu we are live actually.
Yeah. Where?
Hey, Anabha, don't worry, we won't say anything.
I know.
Inappropriate.
Thanks for the heads up. Hello, how are you all? So we can reply. I guess screen e dekha jacche eta comments gulo.
Yes. Hello Asif bhaiya, we're good. How are you? Sorry, আমি just সবার জন্য answer করে দিলাম. Hopefully everyone's good.
Did we get any entries?
Yeah, we actually got a lot of entries, Anabha. You wanna share?
So আমাদের কাছে entries আসছে around 15-15 মতন আসছে আর কি.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there a green screen, Shams?
So that's my room, but it also has a big, large green screen. It's like it covers the pretty much whole room, like one side of it.
Okay, it's 9:02. We can start at 9:03. Okay, it's 9:02. We can start at 9:03. Nuhash bhai, we have a question for you.
Bichur update key. Well, we're getting prepped for season 2. So a lot of talks going on about what's going to happen to Bondhu and the team season 2. So we're figuring that out. Excited about it.
All right. I think we can start. Shagotum shobaike, and thank you so much for tuning in tonight for our webinar Art for Wash Adda, Creative Adda, বদলালে অভ্যাস তাহলেই সাব্বাস। আজকে আমাদের সাথে উপস্থিত আছেন আপনাদের প্যানেলিস্ট হিসেবে বাংলাদেশের অন্যতম extremely creative artists, all pioneers in their respective fields of art, Nuhash Humayun, Abrar Athar, Shams Jubaer, and Saud Faisal. Welcome, guys. And আপনাদের সাথে আমিও আছি, Arusa Iqbal Rahim, Communications Officer from WaterAid Bangladesh, as your moderator for tonight. শুরু করার আগে আমি আসলে আমাদের আন্তরিক থ্যাংক ইউ দিতে চাচ্ছি আমাদের পার্টনারদেরকে, ইউনিসেফ এবং ডিপিএইচই, as well as আমাদের without whose help tonight and the entire initiative wouldn't have been possible. So thank you so much, guys, for all your help. Now, before we get into the Adda and get immersed in it, I would also like to state a few facts regarding the competition. Now, Art for Wash, the name itself is telling us what the competition is really about, except আপনারা হয়তো ভাবতে পারেন যে art is a vast field. So a vast, যেদিকেই তাকাই আপনার, we see some form of art or the other. So a vast field of art থেকে আমরা বেছে নিয়েছি 3টা category: photography, animation and short film making. So এই 3টা ক্যাটাগরির ভিতর থেকে আমরা each ক্যাটাগরিতে 3 জন করে বিজয়ী ঘোষণা করব। যে প্রথম পুরস্কার পাবে সে পুরস্কৃত হবে 1 লক্ষ টাকা, দ্বিতীয় বিজয়ী পাবে 50,000 টাকা এবং যে থার্ড প্রাইজ পাবে সে পাবে 25,000 টাকা। So without further ado, I would like to welcome writer, director, and filmmaker, and WaterAid's very own, none other than Nuhash Humayun. Nuhash bhaiya, how are you?
Hi Arusa, how's it going?
It's going good. ভাইয়া, আপনার কাছে আমার যে ফার্স্ট যে কোয়েশ্চেনটা থাকছে সেটা হচ্ছে, tell us a bit more about this art for wash competition. মানে আমি তো কিছু logistic facts and figures বললাম. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, November 15th is our last date of submission. হ্যাঁ নুহাশ ভাইয়া, যেটা বলছিলাম সেটা হচ্ছে আপনি একটু ক্রিয়েটিভ দিকটা যদি আমাদের ভিউয়ারদেরকে জানাতেন, what this competition is about, what we are expecting out of it.
Cool. So first of all, hi everyone. It's it's a creative Adda, so like to keep it nice and informal, সবার মধ্যে, and really just talk about this project. So basically, I'm a filmmaker, but I'm also working with WaterAid as the communications advisor, and I'm also চিন্তা করছিলাম about sort of habits, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we sort of had this huge shift in how we're thinking, like in our lives, right? Like প্রথমে there's fear, like we get scared, আচ্ছা এখন আমাদেরকে হাত ধুতে হবে বেশি, or বাসা থেকে বের হওয়া যাবে না, or মাস্ক পরতে হবে, like এই ভয়ের দিক থেকে আমরা কাজ করি. But fear can only go, like, it doesn't take you all the way. When you're afraid of something, ভয়ের চোটে maybe আজকে একটা জিনিস করলাম, কালকে একটা জিনিস করলাম, then পরশু দিন ভুলে যাচ্ছি, তারপর আবার কয়েক মাস পরে একটা নিউজে একটা জিনিস দেখছি, like something we see and we're like, oh no, wait, we get scared again and we start doing it again, but then we forget. So we were really thinking যে মানুষের অভ্যাস কেমনে বদলায়, like how do you change habits and how do you create lifelong habits? So something really cool we were working on তখন was actually Bichus, which we actually already got a question. We didn't even start and we already got a question about Bichu season 2. So Bichus, I was the director, and it was being produced actually through Little Big Films. So Abrar was a part of it too, where we were kind of thinking, how do you use sort of music and comedy and humor and storytelling to create habits, to change habits, and all that. So from all those thoughts combined and moving forward, we were thinking, we just had Global Hand Washing Day, and these issues of, say, washing hands properly with soap, or wearing masks, and all these like safety protocols that we're thinking, how do we make these lifelong habits for people? Like, how do you really get it in someone's head যাতে আমরা কোনোদিন এগুলো ভুলবো না, like not just today or tomorrow, or like, oh আচ্ছা এখন COVID-19 এর ভয় আছে so এই জিনিসগুলো করবো, but make sure we do it forever and ever, So a great way to do that could be through art. And that's something we strongly believe, not just as a creative, but working with WaterAid, all that together. And we're here with some really cool, very talented people who, some of them I've already worked with, some of them I want to work with. So I think we all have like some interesting perspectives that I want to hear, how much art can actually change people's lives and habits and all that. And at the same time, I think even the process of creating art can change people, like একটা এক্সাম্পল দেই, আমি এই কয়েক মাসে এতগুলা হাত ধোয়ার ক্যাম্পেইন করছি যে করতে করতে আমি না মানে I can't like wash my hands without thinking, oh no wait, I have to do it for 20 seconds at least, and like একটা ক্যাম্পেইনের গানগুলা মাথায় ঢুকে যায়, and I have changed my own habits from making all that stuff. So I also think for the artists who are applying, whether they're like photography or short films or animation or whatever it is, even the process of making something that has a message it's going to change you. It's a challenging, and yes, there's a prize and there's money to be won, and you get these cool sessions with us, which is also exciting. But I think even the process of making something that has a message, even that changes you, even that adds something. So yeah, I'm really excited to see all the submissions in the different categories.
All right. Thank you so much, Bhaiya. I have a few more questions lined up for you. Our second question, you already touched on the theme, যেটা নুহাশ ভাইয়া বললো যে আমাদের থিমটা হচ্ছে water sanitation and hygiene in respect to recent events. So আপনারা যখন আপনাদের ওয়ার্ক জমা দিচ্ছেন, সাবমিট করছেন, একটু খেয়াল রাখবেন যে COVID-19 কে হাইলাইট করে আমাদের ওয়াশ নেসেসিটিস গুলা যাতে আপনাদের পিকচারে or আপনাদের শর্ট ফিল্মে or আপনাদের অ্যানিমেশনে ওই জিনিসটা যাতে পোর্ট্রে হয়, যাতে অ্যাওয়ারনেস বিল্ডিং, যেটা আমাদের মেইন মোটিভ, so a lot of people personally came up to me and asked, why do you think we chose these three forms of art? Like I mentioned, first the art to mane onek boro. Why did we choose a tinta category?
First of all, I'm glad you brought up wash, because like a water sanitation and hygiene is something that's been ignored, sort of not put as much importance on in the history of like sort of the goals that we've had. And, so I think it's very recently, because of the pandemic, that we understood, okay, yeah, this stuff is really important and this stuff can actually save lives. So definitely putting a focus on that. So the categories, I think we were trying to have a different range of sort of art forms, and I think photography is something that I think is very easy to pick up, but also at the same time extremely challenging. And I think I'm sure Faisal has more to say on that matter with photography. Same with short films, same with animation. I think they're all like very different sort of ends of the spectrum. Animation is something that I'm really excited about, because you could sort of do it sitting bashay, right? So এখন তো সব we're asking for people to make short films, but we also don't want them to go out and put themselves in danger, like short film banate giye jodi they get sick or something. That's not something we want. So I think animation is something cool where you can do that sitting at home. You can make a short film sitting at home too, or on your rooftop. But I think animation's pretty cool in that respect. So yeah.
Nuhash and I actually watched a short film in a festival where it was just, I think, the director and his daughter. Yeah, I remember that. So you don't have to do anything to make a short film, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Bhaiya, that's what you think, being a professional in the field. I wouldn't think that if I was participating in the competition.
No, I think how communication has changed, right? So through
no, that's right.
People make Vines, and people are making TikToks, and people are so I think the traditional form of art is changing, whether it's photography or
right. I think you guys build up on my next question, so thank you so much for that. So again, my question now would be to all of you. What do you think is the importance of storytelling? Because আপনারা যদি ভাবেন, আমরা কিন্তু এই তিনটা form of art, তিনটা category থেকে we're trying to tell a story, we're trying to state something. So what do you think, why do you think art, storytelling, or even like communications field কারো কাছে do you think who would like to go?
I can go.
Okay, আমি টিচারের মতো পিক করব.
I can go.
হ্যাঁ, প্লিজ ভাইয়া বলেন.
So like I mean, first of all, a small introduction of me is I am a teacher. I teach kids like 8 থেকে 16, 8 থেকে 16 বছর বাচ্চাদেরকে, and I like storytelling is like one of the things we try to focus on as well. So there's this John Maxwell একটা quote that's principles fade, stories stick. So this is something I always tell my friends, যে when আমরা যখন কোনো উপদেশ দিই, উপদেশগুলো almost মাথার উপর দিয়ে চলে যায়, right? It's like memorize করতেছি মনে হচ্ছে একটা উপদেশ, where stories stick করে, এবং এটার অনেক biological reasons আছে, এটার অনেক scientific reasons আছে, কেন আমরা as human beings কেন স্টোরিগুলো ম্যাগনেটের মতো our minds pick it up and then learn from it. So that's all I would want to say. Just stories take principles fate.
Nuhash bhai, would you like to add something else?
Yeah, I mean, I would basically say the same thing, but ironic, complicated by probably both. I think that was so beautifully put. I don't think I can top that. But I just want to just
All right.
could be simply it's just stories are how we just connect with people. You know, it's just the easiest way to stay connected. And I think that you know, if you tell me a bunch of facts about COVID-19 or a bunch of facts about like whatever's going on right now, I'm not gonna pay attention if you give me a bunch of numbers. That's why I think stories can really, you know, grab people's attention and also
Right.
add something really unique. Like a story can have a very different way of posing something. You know, it doesn't have to be super serious, or it doesn't have to be exactly like one kind of story. Storytelling can be a photograph. You know, I think there's some questions coming in about the
I was gonna
individual categories, or will the winner be select combinedly? So what's the situation there?
So প্রতিটা ক্যাটাগরিতে তিনটা করে উইনার থাকবে। সো ফটোগ্রাফিতে 3টা উইনার থাকবে, ফার্স্ট সেকেন্ড থার্ড। তারপরে শর্ট ফিল্ম মেকিং এ 3টা উইনার থাকবে, তারপরে অ্যানিমেশনেও 3টা থাকবে। সো টোটাল আমাদের 9 উইনার্স থাকবে। Alright. Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity to win. এই জন্য আমরা বলবো যে প্লিজ যারা আমাদের ভিউয়ার্স এখন আছেন, if you're interested, please do submit. Faisal bhaiya, আমি আপনাকে জিজ্ঞেস করতে চাচ্ছিলাম, since we're talking about storytelling, and since you are একটা ছোট introduction দিয়ে নেই, I read somewhere actually that you term yourself as an inspirer, not a photographer. So would you like to say something on this?
Okay. I don't know from where you got it, but yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things in it.
আমি একটা আর্টিকেল আজকেই পড়ছিলাম ভাইয়া on you. Was prepping for the webinar.
Yeah, first of all, thanks to WaterAid to coming up with this initiative, and Nuhash have explained just to relate with these 3 art form with this campaign. I think it had a long-term impact on সবার উপর। Our photography, as you know, that I mean, it is a still 2-dimensional medium, but still it's one of the most powerful medium. It can change society, yeah, like movies and animation. So this is a very powerful tool, and as long as you have a camera in your hand, actually you can create your own story in a 2-dimensional, in a frozen moment. Okay, so this is very important. So আমাদের যে থিমটা, so definitely that will be charged, and there is a lot of criteria, and most of the photographers জানে আসলে যে criteria গুলি কি। I mean, you have to tell your story from a very unique viewpoint. This is number one. Clear message to clear. So these are the things that the most important thing actually to come up with a different viewpoint of the same thing that we are seeing every day, right? Photographer is very important. And I'm a truly believer. I mean, Nuhash's সাথে just echo করতে চাই যে আসলে এই art form গুলি very important. এগুলোর আসলে long term একটা impact আছে. And our thanks to WaterAid and Nuhash and whoever actually came up with this idea, I think it will have a good impact.
Thank you ভাই। এখন আমি কিছু আমাদের কমেন্ট সেকশনে যেতে চাচ্ছি। Any time duration for the short film, and what is the last date? The last date of submission is November 15th. And Abrar bhai, if you want to say short film এর কোনো duration আছে নাকি?
না, I think আমরাও যেটা ডিসকাস করলাম, I think if it's honest, heartfelt, and short, I mean, you know, a short film is a short film. But of course, we'll definitely make exceptions if যদি গল্পটা খুব demand করে যায় a bit longer. But Nuhash, we don't have like a specific timeline, right? Like that, right?
No, we would say like keep it as short as necessary. You know, like that can be 30 seconds, it can be a minute. It can go a little over that too, but you know, you don't have to make it really long. Just stay to the point and keep it simple, I think. Whatever the story demands. So I don't think we really need to be too specific about that, but I feel like keep it to the point because the difference between like normal art that you'd make, and this is always like it's tricky for us every day who are working in this industry, which is the difference between making something that's just art, but versus art that has a message, or say advertising, or something where একটা কিছু communicate করতে হবে to an audience or to some people. It's a tricky balance where you want to tell a story, and through that story you want to say something that's really important, right? So whatever story you need, however much time you need to get that across. But I would say that only one entry per person is something that we're looking at. And I think there was another interesting question about photo
about
story
multiple
versus a photo story dibe naki photo dibe. So what's the difference actually? Like what is a photo story? Also, like to elaborate করবেন?
History is a series of photos with a coherent story. It starts with one picture and last picture. আমরা আসলে ঠিক photo story থেকে individual picture থেকে we are looking for individual photos, individual submission. So yeah, and photography to on technical details also the website আমরা just to sum up anything color or black and white we'll accept, and at least 5 megabyte file আমাদের
Right. Just to clear, I think Nuhash bhaiya already bole diyeche eta, but in case shuneni, there was a question: are multiple entries allowed? No, unfortunately, one individual can only enter once. Again, what is the last date of submission? November 15th.
I mean, but you could bypass that. Like, তুমি একটা submission করলা, তোমার best friend এক করলো, হ্যাঁ?
Yeah.
Split. Yes, right. All right. My next question will actually be to Shams Bhai. Shams Bhai, as mentioned, is a tech entrepreneur. He's an educator, and he says that his lifelong mission is to gamify the entire education system. Bhai, can you please elaborate on that? I'm really interested to hear.
Right. That seems like a good conversation starter. But gamifying education system bolte ja bojhay is, kids and adults equally love playing video games, and they also like playing games, whether that's board games, amra Uno kheli naki Monopoly kheli naki amra sports kheli, because sports is also a game. This is something we engage a lot. We spend hours and hours doing it, and we forget to eat. We forget to do other things. But school এমন একটা জিনিস বা এডুকেশন এমন একটা জিনিস যেখানে কখন শেষ হবে, রাইট? কখন ঘন্টা পড়বে, এর জন্য we always wait, and that kind of saddens me, because learning is supposed to be fun. Learning is supposed to be a fun process. So gamification মানে হচ্ছে it's supposed to be fun, because we all learn, right? যেমন for example, we as artists, আমরা যখন art করি, we are learning, right? We have to learn art, we have to try, practice. আমরা যখন অ্যানিমেশন করছিলাম, this is all a learning process. That was fun for us. But academic education এ গেলে everything becomes takes a different turn. So my whole why I say it's my lifelong mission is that I want to gamify education system so that বাচ্চারা স্কুলে যাবে মনে করবে যে as if they're playing a video game. Classroomটা একটা video গেমের মতো. The whole experience is like a game. It doesn't mean computer ভিতরে game. It's gamified, right? Right. It's a long, but that's what it means in short.
Yeah, this brings me this connects really greatly with what we're trying to do, because আমরা তো সবার থেকে submission নিচ্ছি on animation, and I think it's like a huge part, because it will involve the kids into learning about WASH and then creating something to enter the competition. So anything you want to say on that, and also a few tips and tricks that you might want to add for the people who are submitting under animation category.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily replace this with gamifying hand washing, right? How do you gamify hand washing? Or through this, we're telling stories, we're making animations, and এই জিনিসটা যাতে engaging হয়, because when someone watches it, they should be able to put themselves in the shoes of the protagonist, and they're imagining. It has to connect with their emotion. If I have to talk about technical things regarding animation, there are two main fields, like 2D and 3D. It depends which one they're doing. 2D is a lot more sketching and art involved. It's very art intensive, where 3D is more tech intensive. So we kind of do both, while we do 3D a bit more. Really depends on that. So I would always say, please use open source tools, because 3D korle Blender kori, that's open source, that's free. It isn't like, commercial software na pirate kore use korte hobe na. That's one thing I would want to say. But in terms of the process consuming, 3D animation অনেক time লাগে, 2D animation is like draw sketch করে করা যায়. I don't know if I have a specific question about 3D or 2D animation I could answer.
All right. Thank you so much, Bhaiya. At this point, I know we might have a few new viewers. So for you guys, let me just repeat that for this competition, there are 3 categories: photography, short film making, and animation. Tinta category te tinjon kore amra award dicchi, first, second, and third. Jara first hobe tara 1 লক্ষ টাকা পাচ্ছে, যারা সেকেন্ড হবে তারা 50,000 টাকা পাচ্ছে, এবং যারা থার্ড হবে তারা 25,000 টাকা পাবে। এখন আমি ফাইসাল ভাইয়ের কাছে যেতে চাচ্ছি, বিকজ একটা খুব ভালো টাইমে আমাদের জুয়েল পল ভাই একটা কোয়েশ্চেনও করেছে। সো বিফোর কোয়েশ্চেনটাতে যাই ভাইয়া, আমি একটু জানতে চাচ্ছি যে even photography itself is such a big field. There is so much to it. What are some of the challenges that you think that the people who are going to submit might face, and how can they overcome those challenges?
Yeah. First of all, photography is definitely is a visual media, but sometimes it can be very difficult to express what you are trying to say. So আমার মনে হয় যে এখানে যখন আমরা যে ফটোগ্রাফাররা আমাদের এখানে কাজ করতেছি, কিন্তু আমার কাছে শুনতেছে, তাদের কাছে তো you have the script, like you have the brief that what exactly you are looking for, right? But আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে the only challenge is to break the cliche, yeah, because we see a lot of similar photos, lot of similar story, a lot of similar character, yeah. So I think main challenge hobe etar jonno to break your cliche, yeah, and try different things, not necessarily je ekdom documentary hobe you have to document something. Go and use your creativity, yeah, অনেক ধরনের creative entry আমরা দেখতে চাই with this thing. Nuhash, you want to add something from your point?
Yeah, so we were getting a lot of questions, photos versus photo stories. So photo stories will actually be allowed. So I think that's pretty cool. Usually with all the other categories, with animation and short films, multiple submissions won't be allowed. But with photography, it makes perfect sense if you have a photo stories.
Exactly. So
you can go further, Faisal bhai, about what a photo story is. Quite a photo thake, like.
Yeah. So amra any photo story with at least 5 to 8 entries in a story we will accept. An individual picture, every actor photographer can send us individual 5 photos. So that will give you a leverage to send your view from different items. So yeah, আমার suggestion হবে এটাই যে don't stick with the typical cliche documentary photography, yeah. Go beyond that.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned that, going beyond cliches, because that's the first thing that comes to mind. And honestly, a big part of doing this whole contest was that even when we're doing professional like a on these topics, from whether it's from WaterAid, wherever it is, a lot of what we see is very typical looking content. For আমরা এত content দেখেছি হাত ধোয়া নিয়ে, মানে মাস্ক পরা নিয়ে, everything now looks typical. Everything now looks like the same sort of মানে আগে দেখা হয়েছে জিনিসটা, সো
হ্যাঁ,
হাউ ডু ইউ পিক আউট দ্যাট?
আমি ওই দিন গেটিতে জাস্ট সার্চ দিলাম হ্যান্ড ওয়াশ, কারণ এখন এটা যেহেতু টপিক, হ্যান্ড ওয়াশ মাস্ক, সো দেয়ার আর লাইক থাউজেন্ডস অফ এন্ট্রি ইন হ্যান্ড ওয়াশ। সো আমি ফটোগ্রাফারদের বলবো সি লট অফ এক্সাম্পল, অ্যান্ড এক্সাম্পলগুলিকে ব্রেক করাই হবে চ্যালেঞ্জ। অ্যান্ড আই মিন বিং ওয়ান অফ দ্য প্যানেল, জুরি প্যানেল, আসলে এটা একটা ওয়ান অফ দ্য মেইন ক্রাইটেরিয়া হবে যে we will see the same thing from a different viewpoint. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting to see.
নুহাশ আর আমি তো থার্মাল ফটোগ্রাফিও দেখলাম, হ্যান্ড
হ্যাঁ, এটা কিন্তু খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং হতে পারে। থার্মাল ফটোগ্রাফি আসতে পারে, লট অফ লাইক এখন তো অনেক এরিয়াল ফটোগ্রাফি হয়, ড্রোন ফটোগ্রাফি হয়। আমি আসলে খুব এই টাইপের ডকুমেন্টারি ড্রোন দিয়ে কাউকে তুলতে দেখলাম, বাট আই নো মেনি ফটোগ্রাফার্স ইন বাংলাদেশ যাদের কাছে এখন ড্রোন আছে এবং ড্রোন এখন পারমিশনও পাওয়া যাচ্ছে, সো ইউ ক্যান ইউজ এরিয়াল ভিউ পয়েন্ট আস ওয়েল।
আচ্ছা নুহাশ, একটা ইয়ে ছিল about the short films, whether মানে আমরা তো it's not about the resilience spirit of or anything else, the mental crisis during our lockdown. We're actually trying to make a positive message. That's the kind of intention of the film, right? So it একটু clear, I think clearly বলা উচিত short, মানে I don't think the short films are about the crisis we're going through. The short film is actually about changing your habit. And what we're trying to do is bring about change in habits through art. এই ছবি দেখে বা এই শর্ট ফিল্ম দেখে বা এই অ্যানিমেটেড পিস দেখে আমার মনে হলো যে ঠিক আছে, আমার তাহলে আরেকটু হাত ধোয়া যায়, বেটার হ্যাবিটস, এইটাই। সো আই থিংক a couple people asked, so I think that's more what it's like.
It's called, look at the little logo on the side. It says bodlale obhas tahole shabash, changing habits really is the really important thing, know, and I think that's something important to focus on, because easily ono jinish hoye jete pare je the crisis of the being in lockdown, and there are a lot of different ways to approach it, but that's not really the focus of what we're doing. Amader focus hocche je habits kemne bodlabo, obhas kemne bodlabo, and that's a huge challenge in itself.
ওইটা নিয়ে আমি আমরা এত ফ্রিকোয়েন্টলি ধরেন অ্যাডভার্টাইজিং এ যখন কাজ করি, we get something called a brief. So এই ব্রিফটা পাওয়ার সময় আমাদেরকে বলে this is what we want to show, and এক্স্যাক্টলি এইভাবে ফিল্মটা বানাতে হবে। সো আই গেস এই ফিল্মের ব্রিফটা ইজ ভেরি ক্লিয়ার, যেটা নুহাশ বললো, কি জানি বদলাতে
বদলালে অভ্যাস তাহলে শাবাশ।
So if we keep this forward,
এটা আপনি পাবলিকলি বলে দিলেন, আপনি এটা মুখস্থ করেন না, এটা কি হলো?
না আমি হঠাৎ করে ভাবছিলাম অন্য কিছু লেখা, তারপর I wanted to make sure.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, you guys touched on what I was gonna highlight next, because on ekhane ekjon comment korche je we should focus on the fact that humans are we are fighters, we are fighting a pandemic and issue. Kintu the thing is je if you visit our website also, Art for Wash competition tar oikhane amra clearly specify kore diyechi je ashole amader message ta ki, like what we are looking for, and eta holo je we want to encourage good habits, sheta social distancing hok, sheta regularly mask pora hok, hat dhua hok, hygiene maintain kora hok during coronavirus. So thank you Anabha amader screen e website ta dekhanor jonne for reference. এখন আমি আবর ভাইয়া আপনাকে ডাইরেক্টলি কোয়েশ্চেন করব, সেটা হচ্ছে a lot of people know you as one of the leading filmmakers. You make ads, you do you have done some exceptional work, and so আমি জানতে চাচ্ছিলাম, because you have so much experience, what are some of the technical things, because obviously short filmmaking is a little bit technical. What are those technical things that the people who are going to submit should keep in mind?
Okay, so I think এটা আমরা ডিসকাস করছিলাম যেদিন when we met the last time, right? So যদি আমি বলি টেকনিক্যাল ক্রাইটেরিয়া কি হবে, I think যে কোনো জিনিসের মতন ফিল্ম মেকিং একটা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ, ফিল্ম মেকিং একটা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ like and আমাদের ভাষা বলতে গেলে মানে অনেক এটা সেন্টেন্স কনস্ট্রাক্ট করতে হলে there is a right way to do it and there is a wrong way to do it আসলে নাই but there is আমি একটা এক্সাম্পল যদি দিই আমি যদি এখন নুহাসকে বলি যে নুহাস পাস মি দ্য ওয়াটার তো এখন এটা কিন্তু আমি 1000 ওয়ার্ডেও বলতে বলতে পারি আবার এটা আমি অনেক সুইট ভাবে বলতে পারি কি ভঙ্গি দিয়ে বললাম there's many ways to say it but the main thing is are we communicating that message right and এই মেসেজটা কমিউনিকেট করার জন্য obviously for all of us on the judging panel to to watch something that's nicely constructed মানে nicely constructed scenes এমন না কিছু লাইট টাইপ কিছু করতে হবে জিনিসটা বাট যদি দেখতে ভালো তাহলে তো অনেক ভালো আর যদি anything innovative আজকাল কিন্তু there is no hard and fast rules in filmmaking that না না আগে যেমন অ্যাক্সেস রুল নিয়ে সবাই খুব আমি জানি বাংলাদেশে সবাই অ্যাক্সেস রুল নিয়ে খুব ও মাই গড করতে থাকে বাট people are breaking it left and right. I mean, it has to mean something. I mean, অনেক সময় যেটা আমি বলতে পারি people get carried away যে let's try doing something so gimmicky that in the end কেউ কিছু বুঝে না ওটা so I think now we have very set thing কি নিয়ে অভ্যাস বদলানো নিয়ে বলছি এইটা বলতে যত সিম্পল ভাবে যত সুন্দর ভাবে বলা যায় I think that's what counts.
Yeah, so something that I'd like to add to what Abrar said is like a big part of what we do, which is also advertising as filmmakers, is we get and receive a lot of feedback, right? So usually if you're a young artist, feedback জিনিসটা খুবই ভয়ঙ্কর লাগে আমাদের কাছে মনে হয় যে আচ্ছা আমি একটা জিনিস বানালাম মাকে দেখালাম or একটা ফ্রেন্ডকে দেখালাম and they don't like something about it, you know, মানে কষ্ট লাগে খারাপ লাগে but I think
করতে বলবে আরো টাইম লাগবে
exactly. So I think a big way to be better is to receive feedback, be open to it, and work more. Like, you know, and this is something I believe in writing as well. Writing is rewriting. When you're making a short film, like the more you edit it, the more you look at it, you know, take a day, don't look at it for a couple of days, go back to it, you know, work on it further. I would say with all the categories, you know, give it some time, show it to people around you, close to you, who you trust. Get their inputs because as opposed to an art film or something, say, like an art film or a very artistic photography that you don't really need to have a message or something, right? It can be aesthetic. But this contest is very focused on having this message. So I would say show it to people around you. You know? So I had some friends, and you know, some of them very young students as well, who've been showing me stuff that they're submitting to the competition. And I'm not giving them any aesthetic feedback. I'm not telling them যে তোমার lighting ঠিক করো or তোমার এটা ঠিক করো or তোমার animation এ এটা ভালো লাগতেছে না character দেখতে. I'm saying আমি বুঝলাম না. I didn't really get it. Can you maybe is there something you can change so someone gets it more? So I think that's really important as well. And I think Abrar can add more on this as well because working in advertising, a lot of what we do is taking a brief, how you break that brief down, how you also add your own personality to it. And, you know, but also you're giving a message to people.
আমি কালকে একটা funnily enough কালকে I'm making a film right now so ওইটা নিয়ে একটু মানে কালকে we spoke to the journalists and stuff and it touches on some controversial subjects so তখন when we were asked about what's the message in it right when this has a very definite message in it but এখন আমার মা আমাকে ছোটবেলা থেকে বলছে যে আবরার তুমি শাকসবজি খাবা মনে হয় আমাকে দিনে 3 বার তো মিনিমাম বলতো ওইটা somehow না শুনতে ভালো লাগে না যে ঠিক আছে বলতেছে আমরা শাক খাইতে whenever if she made a story about it and the benefits of eating shak I think আমার এটা কোনো ঝামেলাই হতো না to follow so I think if we try not to be preachy and try an innovative way around this subject যাতে অভ্যাস বদলানোর জিনিস নেই তাহলে খুব মজা হতে পারে
Yeah, like Popeye the Sailor Man, you know, that's how I learned to like spinach. Seeing Popeye like eat spinach, I was like, oh hey.
I actually still did.
I didn't either.
Okay. Right. আমি এখন আপনাদের সবাইকে I'll go one after the other. I think there are a lot of questions on what are the criterias that because obviously you are a huge part of the jury team. So what are the things that you are going to look into? Because এখানে অনেকজনের concern আছে ভাইয়া, because they are going to compete with professionals or like amateurs মানে এভাবে. So I want to start with Shams Bhai. Shams Bhai, what are some of the criteria that you will give points to for animation?
So, well, is the story clear? That's one, right? Because animation is very difficult and also very fun. It's like a mix of difficult and fun. You can get quite addicted to the process of making animation that you may forget. Even we learned, like, we were in a lot of projects. Me and like when me and Nuhash were also trying some things out. We figured that we can get quite into the like the animation process of it and forget the story. এটা একটা. So is the story clear? এটা আমি বলবো একটা জিনিস. Second হচ্ছে is it realistic? Because animation এর সবচেয়ে বড় difficult part হচ্ছে realism. Because আমরা বানাতে পারি, but then it won't look realistic. That's what, and again you need a mixture of realism and exaggeration. এখানেও একটা ব্যাপার আছে. Animation is like realism and exaggeration. I'm also quite surprised because like we're getting very few questions on animation itself. So one of the criteria would be, are you making an animation? Yes. But because I feel like animation there needs to be more animation in Bangladesh. That's what I feel. যে খুব কম animation আছে, কম animators আছে, and it would be lovely if a lot of animators are applying as well.
Faisal bhaiya, আপনি photography নিয়ে actually আমাদের maximum questions আসছে. আপনি যদি বলেন যে what are some of the criteria you're looking at?
Definitely. Criteria number one will be adherence with the theme. Teamer যতটুকু কাছে যাওয়া যায়. Number two, clarity of your story or of your view. এটা একটু clear directional একটা ই লাগবে, যোগাযোগ লাগবে, যেটা clear. And definitely originality and which is not commonly seen. এগুলো definitely প্রাধান্য পাবে. আর যেহেতু অনেক ফটোগ্রাফার আছে, তারা কনফিউজ, প্রফেশনাল, অ্যামেচার সবাই একসাথেই করবে. So just to make everyone sure that actually it doesn't matter, because as long as you can think in a different way, you can I mean just take the right photo, that's okay. And it doesn't matter কি ধরনের ক্যামেরা দিয়ে তুলছে, whether it is DSLR, it can be your mobile phone, so it doesn't matter. Yeah?
Right. Abrar Athar, you're next.
আমার একটা বিশাল জিনিস হচ্ছে that এরকম whenever people judge other people's work, মানে আসলে তো I think just have no fear, like there's a clear message, এটা দিয়ে মানে I can only, I think all of us can together say, oh আচ্ছা না এটা জোস লাগছে or এটা জোস লাগে নাই, but আমরা জোস বললাম না কিনা, that doesn't actually mean your work is good or not, so just be really brave and just send out your entries and take a leap of faith. Why not? Even if you thought you never would be making a short film, this is a chance to win some money at the end of the day. So দুইটা বন্ধুকে নাও বা তিন চারজন বন্ধু নাও, split the money, or great way to go out and stuff. So yeah, for me nothing, just be creative and be bold and try out something new.
Right. Nuhash bhaiya?
Yeah, I agree with everyone there. Like, have the message clear, have fun with it, make it original, because I think originality is something really important for me. If I see something really shiny, খুব সুন্দর করে বানানো একটা short film, but দেখি মনে হচ্ছে যে আমি এটা আগে দেখছি, কোথাও কি দেখছি, কোথাও একটা, the whole thing is like copied, or the photograph is like clearly something that they saw somewhere else and they just try to recreate it. I would say go for originality. I think that wins so many more points. Have an original idea. Maybe you don't make the first idea that comes to your head. প্রথমে আমাদের সবচেয়ে common idea আসে, তারপর think a little bit more, brainstorm with a couple of friends, come up with something better, because that idea is going to go a long way. And yeah, it's a great opportunity to showcase your work, win some money. And the other reason for even having this panel is, আমাদেরও কিন্তু submit করতে ভয় লাগে. There are a lot of like big film festivals and like all these like big opportunities where we're like always submitting stuff, and we're like wondering, will I get in or not? Local, international, ভয় লাগে, especially because আমরা জানি না যে কে দেখতেছে বসে বসে, like who are these people who are sitting and judging our work?
Right.
gombir hoy, right? So a big part of doing this is so you see our faces. We're very harmless people. We're cool. We're chill out. I'm just like could be friendly, and we want to see really interesting submissions, and we're excited to see it. And I think that's a big part of doing it, just seeing our faces and not being afraid to submit what you can.
I think I'm seeing comment section at a very important and interesting question. Is it mandatory to submit a consent form of my subjects who will be visible in photos or films? Yes, it actually is. আপনি যদি আমাদের ওয়েবসাইটটা visit করেন, we have a link to ethical policy. If you click on it, ওইখানে সব ethical যা যা আপনার follow করতে হবে, you can read through it. আমরা খুব ডিটেইলে লিখে দিয়েছি, and if you still have questions or confusion, feel free to message us in our Facebook group. এখন নেক্সট যে কোয়েশ্চেনটা আমি সবার কাছে করব, that is how do you think this competition is going to change habits? Is it actually going to change habits? Is it going to reach people? What sort of people are we aiming to reach? If Shams go first.
Is this competition going to change habits? Like going like what Nuhash initially said, those who are participating, definitely their habits will change because they're having to think a lot about it. Eta to prothom ami bolbo je a lot of people participating, they will be more into it. Next hocche it will change habit depending on the content. It really depends on you, the participants. Like if you make engaging content, if you make engaging art and animation and photography stories, it may change habit. Really, the power belongs to you. And if you make good content, then you have the potential to change habits.
Yeah, and it's also about data because the winning entries, they're not just going to get like awards. It's also going to be showcased, locally, internationally,
right,
and taken places. So I think it's a cool opportunity
right,
in that case too. I know the worst thing you can say to a young artist is tomar exposure hobe eta theke, but you will get both cool prizes and you'll get exposure. So
right.
that's
also
definitely
the one-on-one mentoring with these very talented individuals in our panel today. Jara amader viewer, just reminding that in prize money charao, you will get an opportunity to meet these individuals, get mentoring from these individuals. So yeah, there's a lot actually that you can gain from this competition. Faisal bhai, apni ki kichu bolben? No, Abrar bhai, go ahead. Yeah.
সবচেয়ে বড় ফ্লেক্স হচ্ছে এখানে ধরেন if you submit something and you can tell your kids and your grandkids and their grandkids in the future that the pandemic happened and I did something to change people's habits that eventually led to the saving of lives.
Actually, you're right.
So yeah.
So আমি মনে করি হ্যাবিট চেঞ্জ হবে কিনা এটা প্রেডিক্ট করা ভেরি ডিফিকাল্ট, স্পেশালি আমরা যে সোসাইটিতে থাকি। বাট এটা আসলে একটা অনেক বড় একটা এফোর্ট। এই এফোর্টের সাথে আসলে কন্ট্রিবিউট করার একটা হ্যাবিট চেঞ্জ হোক আর না হোক, একটা যে চেষ্টা ছিল এটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আর দিস ইজ অলসো রাইট যে আসলে প্রাইজ মানি, দেয়ার ইজ প্রাইজ মানি, দেয়ার আর লট অফ ইন্সপিরেশন, রাইট? এই ছবিগুলি আপনাদের ফটোগ্রাফি দিবেন, like exposure also. So I think this is going to be a very exciting opportunity for all the young people.
Right.
Well, I just want to say a question about consent forms. So basically, apparently you need photography korle or short film banale, whatever you do, you need consent from whoever is visible in it. So there's a good way to avoid this: make an animation. Animated characters, their consent like you created them, so you can have them as many times as you want without the permission. So yeah, regarding whether it's going to create impact and have change or not, I mean we'll find out. I mean there's no definite answer to it. Definitely we can say, oh, you're definitely going to change the world, but I think Abrar makes a good point, which is like you know, we are going to tell the future generation যে একটা pandemic ছিল, এই জিনিসগুলো হয়েছে, and they're going to be like, what did you do? ওই টাইমে তুমি ছিলা, তুমি কি করছো? What did you do when you were there? তুমি কি, like, were you safe? Were you stay home? What did you do? So it's pretty
বাসায়
cool to be
বন্দি
able to
ছিলাম।
say যে ভালো কিছু করতে পারছি, you know?
Right. Now we're just gonna talk about some of the expectations. I think expectations are the conversation was very brief. I would like to ask all of you that you know, like, we are asking everyone to submit in all categories, submit this, submit that. But actually, like, what are you expecting? যে কেমন জিনিস আপনারা পাবেন? What I'm trying to say, I guess, is you know, like professional level বা amateur level, মানে এই ধরনের, what are you expecting from our people?
So photography নিয়ে বলি, আমার মনে হয় যে I'm expecting a lot of entries because of two reasons. As I said, এটা একটা contribution for this great campaign and great movement WaterAid যেটা করছে. This is number one. Number two, the rules are very flexible, and number three is prize money is good. So সবকিছু মিলিয়ে I'm expecting a lot of good photographs to see.
Cool.
Shamsna?
I would hope that we would have a lot of animation submissions, more submissions than questions that we received today. But আমি যেটা আশা করব is it doesn't matter really. Animation doesn't have to be super professional, really. Like it's a great form of art. So I'm hoping people will be submitting animation, 2D hook, 3D hook, and like Nuhash said, no, you don't have to get people to sign consent paper. You can change your camera angles as you wish. Easily, you can do a lot of things that if you were filming in real life, you would have limitations. So animation really gives you wings. So just go ahead and submit animations. I think they'll all be good. I'm hoping to get some animations and good animations.
Also,
So I actually want to see a range of submissions. যে professional হোক, amateur হোক, আসলে আমার কাছে ম্যাটার করে না। I think এই জিনিসগুলা, even এই টার্মগুলা যে professional versus amateur, আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে এই টার্মগুলা, এই লেবেলগুলাই অ্যাকচুয়ালি মানে sometimes অনেক detrimental, দরকার নাই। Sometimes professionalরা অনেক amateur জিনিস বানায়, sometimes amateur থেকে অনেক inspiring জিনিস আসতে পারে। So forget about whether you're a professional or an amateur and definitely submit. You're not too big or too small to submit. Definitely give it a shot. Is what I'm going to say. Which question ছিল?
এই কোশ্চেনটা মনে হয় ফটোগ্রাফি নিয়ে হচ্ছে, আলোকচিত্রের ক্ষেত্রে
It took me a second.
So আমার মনে হয় যে কোশ্চেন করেছে ও হয়তো এডিটিং, লাইক ফটোশপ পোস্ট প্রসেসিং এর কথা বলেছে। Definitely a certain level of editing is a must for some of the photographs. Like you can play around with the tone, and you can make color photographs with the black and white. But definitely I mean extreme level post processing করা যাবে না। কোনো জায়গায় কোনো স্ট্যাম্পিং করে কোনো এলিমেন্ট বাদ দিয়ে দেওয়া যাবে না। You cannot actually change the reality of the photograph. এটা একটা করা যাবে। But certain level of dodge burn, and then playing with the levels, you can do that.
Right. So we've been talking a lot about the sort of the technical aspects of the photography, the short films, and the animation, and even একজন জিজ্ঞেস করেছে যে logo দিতে হবে নাকি at the end. You can if you want to, but I don't think that's mandatory. You just make something cool. It's fine if it doesn't have the logo, and we can all add those things later. So that's not a concern. But I think something we should talk a little bit more is about the message. And the creative criteria for all these things you can find on the website. I'm pretty sure it's linked in the caption and everything as well. You can go check out the site, and it has all the everything we're talking about. It's all listed there anyway. But obviously, this is a friendlier way to get the information, just hearing it from us directly. So the message is really about changing habits, and like what are the habits we need to change right now. And the honest truth is, when the pandemic started, a lot of us were really scared, and a lot of us were like maintaining a lot of things like social distancing and wearing masks and washing our hands for 20 seconds, shaban diye, bashay dhuke ber hoye, and all these little things. We're all aware that these are good things to do, but do we actually maintain them now? Because we are sort of also going back to life. We all have responsibilities, so we are kind of forgetting certain things that we should be doing. We're taking it easier, right? So we haven't really made certain things habits like we should have. So it's like, how can you make something, short film hook, animation hook, or like photography hook, যেটা ওই জিনিসটাকে inspire করবে? Like, people wear masks now, but maskটা হচ্ছে এখানে পড়ছে, like maskটা একটু ঝুলে থাকে, তারপর ফোনে কথা বলে, খায়, মানে, and just হেরে যাচ্ছে. So like, how can we change those things? And how can you draw attention to little things like that, or about washing hands, whatever it is, and make something fun or interesting or different that's going to draw someone's attention. And as long as you focus on that message in your work, even if it doesn't get, like, if it's great, it's gonna get selected, right? Sure. But even if it doesn't, I think it's great practice for whatever platform you're doing. So yeah, I think that's something important to focus on.
All right. Would anyone like to add anything else?
Wash your hands.
Right. So at this point, I think we are আমাদের dinner করতে হবে mainly. So I would just like to say for our new viewers who joined, who weren't in the beginning, that Art for Wash competition, Bodlale Obhash Tahole Shabbash, is an initiative taken by WaterAid Bangladesh in collaboration with UNICEF and DPHE, as well as our knowledge partners Through the Lens, Little Big Films, and the Tech Academy. We really thank everyone who has helped us build this initiative. Remember that the last date of submission is November 15th. Please submit. Please take part. Like everyone said, don't be nervous. JK, judge korbe, ke korbe na. I think it's a great way to send out the message, especially in a time like this, to raise awareness, because art thike boro communication aspect, I think, আমাদের খুব কমই আছে. So thank you everyone for joining in, tuning in tonight, for staying with us. I think we have reached a lot of people. এর বাইরেও যদি if you have questions that আপনারা করতে পারেননি, please feel free to reach out to us through Facebook message. We will get back to you, and please start preparing your submissions. And at the same time, like Abrar said, wash your hands, wear your masks, please, naker upore, and stay safe. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a really good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thanks.
Thank you.